Good evening, everybody. It's 9:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 on the West Coast on a Monday. That must mean it's time for your weekly Calamity Jane live stream. James, how are you doing this evening?
Happy Monday, Eric. I am doing just fine. How are you?
I am well. I have news. Within
Okay.
the last 28 days, because YouTube does not get any more specific than that, we have our 21st subscriber. We have gone up gone up one. We did it,
That's cool.
James. We did it.
Yes. I guess I have to change my um my phrasing to tens to 20. I mean tens to 21s of viewers
Yeah,
now, I guess.
20s to 30s. We can safely say 20s to 30s.
Yes. Yeah. But I do like the fact that it is. I'm all about small batches. So it's great. I
Uh-huh,
mean, I'm
uh-huh,
happy.
uh-huh.
It's exciting. But I don't want to. We don't want to get to 40s, and then I start to get concerned a little bit.
So you're afraid of success is what you're telling me.
Yeah,
This is what
yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
hearing.
Yes, I
Oh,
like the fact
wow.
that we have our little clubhouse and we just talk about random crap that you and I are just want to just
But
yeah,
there
secret
are
out, keep out.
21 people who claim to be interested in the random things that we talk about. 21 whole people. That's
Oh
3 times
man,
7, James. Or 7
man,
times 3 if you prefer.
I trust you because my math's terrible, but I trust you on that. Yeah. Well, speaking of interesting things, well, first of all, okay, I'll get into my. I'll start drawing some Warhog stuff. I'm going back to what we did last week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start a new scene here. This scene, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see it. Okay. This scene is when the Warhog gets ready to do the scratching poof on the ground thing. So I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
use our existing asset again, and I'll kind of hodgepodge and make a new pose here. What's kind of funny is I'm looking at this pose and like he's already kind of looking down, kind of like what I want for the pose. So it's almost like I need to make a neutral pose of him to actually animate down into this. But I don't know. I'm gonna play it by ear. I'm not sure where I'm gonna end up with tonight's stream compared to last week, where it was all happy roses and flowers, and we were able to get somewhere. But
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, but the thing I wanted to talk to you about
Okay.
is where you are. We were before we went live. We were talking about Zelda
Mm.
Skyward Sword,
Mm-hmm.
and I was nodding my head in agreement because sometimes we do agree on some things here,
Every
but
once in a blue moon.
once in a while. But Skyward Sword, this is my. I'll leave it with this. Skyward Sword to me is Wind Waker, but not as good. It's instead of being in the ocean, you're in the sky and you're looking
Right,
for islands,
right,
and the dungeons are not memorable,
right.
at all. And you're playing it now, you're playing it with fresh eyes as you play it on the Switch, and it's
Yes.
all remastered and fancy and stuff.
Well,
And I'll let you run with it now at this point. I'm
well,
curious, like, what my comparison to Wind Waker, but less good.
I mean, it's definitely less good than Wind Waker. Wind Waker remains one of my favorite Zeldas of all time.
Yeah, yeah.
Just from the novelty of sailing to the art design to just the world that they built. To I mean, without a doubt, the design for Ganondorf in Wind Waker is hands down my favorite design of that
hmm
character ever. I mean, I've
hmm
never liked the look of that character more than I do in
So
Wind Waker.
when you're saying the design of Ganon, are you talking about the whole setup of the multi-stage, the multi-facets of Ganon, or just the end game
Just the
Ganon?
end game character, and I'm not even talking about the battle. The battle was fun. I really liked it. It really felt strategic, and it really felt like a battle and not a gimmick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which Zelda bosses usually are gimmicks, and that's fine.
hmm
But the Ganon battle in Wind Waker definitely felt like a real conflict between foes, especially when it gets to the point where you have to help Zelda, and she like shoots light arrows, and you deflect them into Ganon.
I was just going to ask you this because I don't. They all kind of blur together, but my favorite Ganon fight was where Zelda is with you in the battle and
Yeah,
shooting arrows.
yeah,
So it's that fight.
that's
Again,
the
that's why
one.
Wind
Yeah,
Waker's. Yeah, that's why Wind Waker. Again, we're in agreement here too. I think Wind Waker's the greatest, one of the greatest ones. It's really hard to put number one versus two and all that, but it's
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Wind Waker, Skyward Sword being a less good version of Wind Waker, and there's a lot of parallels between the two. I don't want to get too bogged down in super geeky stuff, but up until the point where Breath of the Wild came out, Wind Waker was the last game in the continuity.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
didn't know that. They
and
were actually trying to.
yeah,
Huh.
I can dig out the Hyrule Historia book where it's actually got the whole timeline broken down. But yeah, Windbreaker, and I don't know if it's, I don't remember, like, it is the last chronologically in the three timelines that Ocarina of Time creates.
Okay.
Um, so it is the one that's latest in time, although each timeline has the latest one. And the current fan theory is that Breath of the Wild combines all the timelines into a singular point, so it's all merged
Oh.
again.
Okay.
But up until the point where Breath of the Wild came out, Wind Waker was the last in the continuity, and then when Skyward Sword came out, it's the very first in the continuity. So
Okay.
there are
All
a
right.
lot of intentional parallels
Oh.
from a
Well, there we
design
go.
standpoint between Skyward Sword and Wind Waker. So the fact that you notice that is intentional, right? And good
Hmm.
on you for paying attention. Um, so that's why you've got the Skyloft and the Loft Wings versus the Red Lion, um,
Hmm.
or the the King. I don't remember the name of the boat on Wind Waker off the top of my head. Red Lion, I think, is a chain of inns. But um, anyway, so yeah,
So okay, but, before we go too far up, you talk about this collection of books that explains this. I
yes,
wish they explained it in the games, or there was some. I wish there was more. Like I played those games. I mean, I'm not hardcore. I didn't play them over and over again, but
mm-hmm.
on my first playthrough on all those games, I don't remember seeing any. I mean, I think there was one hint of a previous Hyrule, maybe, but it sound like it's like maybe it was like one sentence or something,
Mm-hmm.
but not enough for me to, as a fan or a player, to put that connection together. I would have liked to have seen that connection emphasized more playing those games.
Sure. Yeah, they don't. I mean, each game is sort of its own self-contained story, and there is this underlying mythos that they never really address. And I mean, if we're being really honest here, I don't think that they ever intended to. But when Dark Horse and Nintendo worked on the trilogy of art books and Historia for Legend of Zelda, I think there was a desire to try to provide some semblance of a continuity. And
Hmm.
so they actually, in the first of three, there's three books. I'm looking at them now. There's Hyrule Historia, which is it's basically a history book of Hyrule up through Skyward Sword. That was the last one.
Hmm.
Um, so Breath of the Wild was obviously not even hadn't even been thought of yet because Skyward Sword actually wasn't out yet when Hyrule Historia came out,
Hmm.
but they included it in the general sort of story flow. So it only is accurate up to Skyward Sword, but it's still great. And then the second one that came out was Arts and Artifacts, which is just like one of the most comprehensive art books of Legend of Zelda released up until the point where Breath of the Wild came out. And then the last one was the Legend of Zelda Encyclopedia, and it's literally just an encyclopedia of every character, monster, object, environment, location, world, stat, blah 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 blah,
Man.
that you can possibly imagine. And it's pretty cool. And there's like little. I would have actually loved to be a writer on that one because, I mean, it's an encyclopedia, so every single item has 1 to 2 sentences at least of description, right? And the more important things have obviously larger stuff. But yeah, it's a great trilogy of books, and I never got it just because I didn't really like it. There was sort of like the game as much. There was sort of a what's the word I'm trying to think of? Almost like an addition to that. It wasn't like truly a fourth book in the series because it just mostly focused on Breath of the Wild exclusively.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so those are great. And in the first one, Hyrule Historia, it actually explains the continuity of all of the games. And I don't remember which branch, but basically the way it works is it's Skyward Sword was first, um, uh, and then I don't remember which one was second, but then I think Ocarina of Time. I think maybe Link to the Past was second, and then Ocarina of Time. No, it couldn't have been. Anyway, I'm not gonna.
I thought so. Ocarina of Time was the one that branched them all out, right?
Yeah, Ocarina of Time was the one that branched them all out.
Okay.
I'm just gonna get it. Yeah, literally within arm's reach. So here it is.
You keep telling me about these books. And I've been wanting to get them. I just never got around to it. But
Yeah.
they seem like
Oh, never. No, I'm really wrong. Like, there's a ton of Skyward Sword stuff in here. It's all in the beginning. So Skyward Sword definitely was out. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. So the very first one, still in the continuity, is Skyward Sword. And then the Minish Cap, of all things, and its spin-offs are second in the continuity. Yes, that's the second.
Wow.
That's the second one in terms of the continuity is concerned. Believe it or not. And then Ocarina of Time splits the world into three.
Wow, that's crazy. Minish Cap was developed by Capcom, right? They kind of co-published it with Nintendo. It's a weird one for them to kind of pigeonhole into continuity. That's really crazy.
Yeah, and I have to make an addendum here. The Wind Waker isn't the last one. It's the last of old Hyrule, before the flood, right?
Okay.
So it's not the last in the storyline. Technically speaking, the last in the storyline is Spirit Tracks. Believe it or not.
No. Yeah. Well, don't.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk. We don't speak about the Spirit Tracks here.
It's not a good
we
game.
We will not.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's the Wind Waker, and it's so basically the reason why I said Wind Waker is the last in the continuity, because Wind Waker is the last game that featured Ganondorf. Wind Waker Ganondorf was defeated once and for all, dead and done and dusted. And then the Phantom Hourglass, the storyline is basically Link, the same Link actually, from the Wind Waker. The Wind Waker ends with him going on a journey to find new land because the waters are finally starting to recede because Ganondorf's evil is destroyed, and the waters start to recede. And so Phantom Hourglass is about finding new land, and then Spirit Tracks take place eons after Phantom Hourglass, where the waters have finally receded and everybody's back on the mainland Hyrule once again, right? Yeah. So I was slightly wrong in that it's not technically the last in the continuity, but it is the last in Ganondorf's continuity.
So you're saying that Ganon pretty much does not exist in that same form since that last game?
Since in that storyline, right?
Okay.
So in the one where Link beats Ganondorf and reseals him, right? So in the event that you beat Ocarina of Time, basically in the storyline where you beat Ocarina of Time, that's the one that's the timeline that Wind Waker is a part of, right?
Okay.
Now in the timeline where you lose and Ganondorf wins, right? That's the timeline that the Link to the Past, Oracle of Ages, Link's Awakening, and the original two games are in, right? So some of the coolest Legend of Zeldas are predicated on the idea that you lost Ocarina of Time.
Wow. Wait. So you're saying the first Zelda is actually part of a lost. You failed.
Yeah. It's like the second to last in that storyline.
Wow, that's crazy.
And then so if you stay a child and Ganon isn't freed, that's the third option, right? So if Link hadn't pulled the sword, right, and Ganondorf remains sealed in the Dark Realm, that's where Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess. That's the timeline that's the least explored timeline. The one where nothing happens at Ocarina of Time. Right, where Link doesn't pull the Master Sword in the Temple of Time.
And that kind of makes some sense because Twilight Princess is kind of bleak.
It is super.
It's kind of more sad and a little bit more. The colors are drab. I mean, I liked it. I thought it was a good game.
Yeah.
That introduced, if I recall, it introduced horseback riding with able to shoot bow and arrow on top of horseback.
Yes, it was a really cool mechanic. I really dug that.
It's a really cool mechanic.
And obviously that carried through into Breath of the Wild and Majora's could you shoot? No, you could shoot arrows on opponents' back and starting an Ocarina of Time. What Twilight Princess did though is it expanded so you could You could swing your sword. You could do full
Oh,
combat on
oh,
horseback.
that's what it was then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember how satisfying it was on horseback on in Twilight Princess versus any of the other Zeldas that I played.
Yeah.
And that was part of it. Like I remember, like there was like a sweeping field where you were fighting against what are they called, moblins or whatever, and they're
Moblins,
all on,
yeah.
yeah,
Bokoblins,
and they're on
moblin, that
their
kind of stuff.
yeah, and
Wargs.
they're on their wolves or whatever, their goblin steeds, and then you're circling around. You're able to just fight. And it was such a fun sequence for that in that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were moments. There are moments in basically every Zelda that are like, wow,
Yeah,
that was really memorable. I mean, even the worst
yeah,
ones.
yeah,
Even
yeah.
Spirit Tracks. I mean, honestly, we were talking about this. One of my favorite themes in all of Legend of Zelda is the wind ballad from the Wind Waker when you're sailing on the sea,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But I will argue that Spirit Tracks has a better overworld theme.
I wouldn't know because I couldn't. I just played it for 5 minutes and threw it away. Just
Yeah,
threw it down.
it's like, it's like if you want to build a train simulator, Nintendo, great, do that, but don't put it in a Zelda game, please.
Oh, why?
I mean, like
Why did they
it
do
was so
that?
surprisingly particular too. Like you had to deal with braking momentum, and if you overshot the train stop, you had to back the train up, and you had to like toot the horn to do certain things. I think to change the track direction, and all of that was novel and benign. I didn't hate it. It was sort of an unnecessary feature in my opinion. I didn't really find it enhance the experience. But then they added these um, train bombs, evil train bombs that would ride around on the tracks, but they were one-hit kills. So you always had to be constantly thinking about which direction on the tracks you were going to take, and the number of times it was like, I just want to go there. Like, but now
Yeah.
because of where the train bomb is, I have to go all the way around the map, and I don't recall there being any real fast travel in the game.
Oh my
And
gosh, man.
and it carried over the worst aspect of Phantom Hourglass, which was that one temple that you had to rebeat over and over and over and
Oh,
over again.
that's another one. Like I just have nothing but bad memories of playing those. Was that on? Did those come on the DS or
Those are both
3DS?
on the DS, yeah.
Yes. God,
And it was a real shame. I
what
mean,
a.
there was again, like I love the music and Spirit Tracks.
Mhm.
Um, that's really the only thing I can remember about that game. Phantom Hourglass, I loved some of the touchscreen ideas, like
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
boomerang where you actually drew the path of the boomerang. I thought was super cool.
Mhm. Mhm.
There's some
Yeah.
really fun aspects of Phantom Hourglass, but it was such for me at least, it completely ruined the game. Having to go back and do that temple over and over and over and over again, or that dungeon over and over again, was
Yeah. Wasn't there like
a real
some big
bummer.
giant? It wasn't there a big giant knight in there that was wandering around. You had to always
Mm-hmm.
avoid him in the
Mm-hmm.
maze, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it just got so cumbersome after a while.
That is
The
something that I
first,
did like about Spirit Tracks is Zelda. Well, she's killed in like the first minutes of the game, but her ghost binds to you, and she can actually go in and possess those knights from Phantom Hourglass, and you can actually use her in that night to help you solve puzzles.
is that Pirate Zelda? Is that who?
That's Pirate Zelda, yeah. But she drops the moniker of Tetra by the time Phantom Hourglass comes out.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, no, actually, she's still Tetra in Phantom Hourglass, but she knows she's Princess Zelda. By Spirit Tracks, she's just Princess Zelda again.
Mhm.
But it's
Mhm.
a completely. I mean, it takes place eons away. God, this is really
Yeah.
nerdy. I know. I said I was starting by like I don't want to go down a nerdy rabbit hole, and then
No,
I
we have to
immediately did that.
because I'm taking advantage of the fact that you spend time to play those games. You will get on me for playing Dark Souls and stuff like that, but then to me these are Dark Souls equivalent, but worse because they're not even
Yes.
fun at all. Like how did
Yeah.
you do? So you. It's funny. Like we have this. We always have our hypocrisy as we
Yeah.
talk about one thing or another. But this is it for me, man. I'm calling you out on this one
That's
because
fair.
how did you have patience for this, but yet you can't play a Dark Souls game because oh my gosh, there's nothing satisfying about those DS games except for
No.
maybe back then though. I mean, we did have less choices for games and we had a little bit more, so we have that, and it has Zelda's branding on it, so you kind of want to play it. I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in all fairness, I did not beat either Phantom Hourglass
Oh, okay.
or Spirit Tracks.
Oh, okay.
So I
All
got
right.
almost to the end of Phantom Hourglass and then forgot what I was doing. And when I tried to pick it back up on an airplane, I spent 25 minutes trying to figure out how to get
Oh,
past this one door. And this was before the days where you could get internet on planes.
yeah,
So I had
yeah,
no
yeah,
way of
yeah.
getting on Google and
Oh,
remembering. And I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. Turned it off, and then I never turned it back on again.
yeah. I
Spirit
don't blame you.
Tracks, I didn't get much. I didn't get much farther, honestly. I don't think I even beat all the dungeons. I don't even think I was at the last dungeon in Spirit Tracks
Wow.
before I just got so bored with it.
More power to you, man. I applaud your efforts, your stick to itiveness to even play it, um, in any length. I mean, it's such a it's just a disappointing set of games. Like back to back, I felt like for the DS on that one.
Yeah, big misses on both of those for me.
Yeah.
But
I
anyway, so now that we've thoroughly explored that rabbit hole and we have survived the journey, um, back to the comparisons between Skyward Sword and Wind Waker. The
hmm
final
hmm
boss demise of Skyward Sword is intentionally similar to the final boss fight in Wind Waker because they're supposed to be bookends.
Huh.
So there's this quiet one-on-one battle in an isolated location. In Wind Waker, it's the water is all coming down because the seal has been broken, right, and the
hmm
world is
hmm
unflooding. It's just
hmm
oh god, the way it looks, it's so cool. I mean, that final boss
Greatest
battle in Wind
was
Waker
yeah.
is just oh
It's one of my again. It's one that sticks out the most. That one and Zelda 60 Zelda Ocarina of Time's battle was pretty fun too. But no, I
yeah,
think Wind Waker was the fun one.
yeah, for sure. Demise you're just like in a white room. It's it's sort of like if my memory serves, it's sort of like in this liminal limbo space, and it's just
hmm
you and Demise one on one, and then he gets sealed into the sword, and it's actually really cool from a storyline standpoint. It almost becomes um, like Simon Belmont's whip, right? How it's actually a curse, right?
Hmm.
The link is bound to the Master Sword because the spirit of demise is trapped within it. And so it's like Legend of Zelda storyline almost becomes sort of a tragic tale because the hero is doomed to repeat the cycle of defeating the evil over and over and over again, right?
Hmm.
I thought that was pretty slick. I don't know, I like that. Even if the boss battle wasn't nearly as good as it was in Wind Waker, it was still
hmm
it was hard. It was super hard, but it was still pretty cool. And in Twilight Princess is also another great one because there's this whole sequence where you're fighting Ganon on horseback, which is really Ganondorf on horseback before he takes his
hmm
final form. That
hmm
was super fun too. So, um, but anyway, yeah. So you've got like sort of the sky, the loft wing. The red loft wing is supposed to parallel the red boat, the sea lion, king of lions. I don't remember. Um, from Wind Waker, and then you've got the similar boss battles at the end of it. The way Link's sword grows and sort of opens and get bigger. I don't know if you remember in Wind Waker, but you'll power it up, and then it like the Master Sword takes its full form over the course of the
Uh-huh.
game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That
yeah, yeah.
same thing occurs in Skyward Sword, although the mechanism to do that is slightly different, but it's still pretty cool. Interesting. I'm done with all that, but yeah, interesting sort of side note. I don't know if you watched the Tears of the Kingdom trailer, the new one that they did
I,
recently.
I've been avoiding them for. I mean, I saw one just in passing, like
Mm-hmm.
I was half asleep. I watched it, but yeah, I didn't pay attention to it. I didn't like try to take it apart. I know there's a bunch of YouTube people or whatever, like are we taking it apart, like looking what they
Yeah,
can cipher, but yeah. So you watched it and
I watched that, and I didn't. I'm not taking it apart, but the one thing I will note, which I think is interesting, and I'm curious if my instincts are right on this, the
mm,
very very last moment of the trailer, there's like this circle, bluish purple circle with glyphs on it, and what sounds like the character of Fi, who is the spirit of the Master Sword that's imbued in that sword in Skyward Sword. So
mm,
I'm very curious if they're going to sort of bring that character back in some form and reveal the spirit of the Master Sword again, right?
Huh.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's interesting, but anyway.
All right.
Yes, ultimately, to answer your question, yes, Skyward Sword is a lesser version of the Wind Waker. A half
But
hour
it's
long.
but it is but it is fun to kind of hear, you know, geek out a little bit about like what, the parallels, like, that was an accident that I saw that. I just kind of uh just playing the game. I was like, this is one of the they just didn't have any ideas left, so they ripped off a really good game. Wind Waker thought they could improve it, and they didn't. That's kind of how I felt as I was playing it. I was
Yeah,
just grumpy and angry playing it a little bit,
yeah, yeah.
But but so here's a question for you though. Now that we're
Okay,
on this whole nerd lore stuff, one of my favorite moments in all Zelda
okay.
is fighting Dark Link. There's
Oh, an
something
Ocarina of
very,
Time.
yeah, I love that. I just loved how you just walk out in the middle of like this cloud area, whatever, or like, and there's
Hmm.
like water on the ground, and this whole idea of reflection, and you see your evil self, like what is that about? Like, did they ever explain that in the books or anything?
Well, the no, not that I recall. I'd have to read through them again, but
I mean,
I
and this
think
is,
I think that your interpretation is right. It's Link confronting the reflection of himself. I mean, if I had to guess, it comes from the same place to go into a different nerd mythos, Star Wars, when Luke Skywalker goes into the Force Cave on Dagobah,
okay.
and he sees the dark reflection of himself as his father, right? Luke Skywalker's,
Mm,
Darth Vader rather. I
mm,
think it's the same thing. Luke coming to terms with his evil half, and
okay.
conquering that. It's interesting they come back to that concept slightly differently in Twilight Princess,
Mm,
where Link goes
yeah.
into that sort of white space, which is a reoccurring theme in Zelda. Actually, going into these limbo spaces. Its demise, obviously, in Skyward Sword and Ocarina of Time with Shadow Link, and then the Ancient Warriors, which Nintendo has
Mm,
confirmed are different generations of Link. And if you read, if you pay really close attention to the dialogue that each of those ancients say, they are referencing previous Zelda games, which is it's pretty cool that they paid attention to that.
mm.
But it is a theme that they come back to over and over again. My favorite white space moment though is in Majora's Mask.
Oh, which I've yet to have.
Oh, I don't even
I
I don't even want to talk about it. The first time you see it,
Okay, I know. I gotta actually play it. I have it on my 3DS, and I know you and I have talked about this. Like how Majora's Mask is a lot. It's like a cult favorite
yeah.
in Zelda games. I just sit down and play it. But now I'm sort of like wondering, well, what if they do a remaster of it on the Switch? Then maybe I'll just buy it then. I'm being a lazy bum
Yeah.
about as a gamer like now at this point, because they keep bringing it back. It feels like
They've only done.
like
I mean,
every
they
once in a
released
while.
it, and then it was the. I mean, they released it, and then they did the Master Quest series on the
Mm-hmm.
GameCube when Wind Waker
Yeah,
originally came out,
yeah.
and so it was on there, and then they re-released it on a 3DS,
Mm-hmm.
but that's
Yeah.
the last time they re-released it. If you're gonna play any version, you should absolutely play it on the 3DS. That is hands down the superior version.
So you don't? Do you think it's worth? Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of pie in the sky thing. Do you think they won't do another remaster of it? Because again, being cult favorite, you would think they would actually release this one out. Right? They would give it another pass. But then again, Ocarina of Time, I don't know when the last time they re-released that one. Was that on the Wii?
The
They did a
the most
remaster.
recent, I mean, like they I believe they were on the Virtual Console,
Okay,
and
that's what it is.
I think I think that um, uh, the um, the expansion pack, the N64 expansion pack for the Switch. I think it has. I don't think it has Majora's Mask, but it might have Ocarina of Time. I don't remember.
And that's the other thing. So with the expansion pack, maybe I can just wait it out and get it and play it on there.
It
But
might
maybe
if
it's
they
worth.
ever add it. I mean, I don't remember, but I can check real quick.
But here's a question: is it better to play it? Well, I mean, the natively is what on the N64. But do they make enhancements to it on 3DS to make it maybe it's worth it to play it on 3DS over all versions of it that's come
I think
out?
it is, and apparently
Really?
Majora's Mask is already on the Switch.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
but yes, the obvious the one on the N64 expansion pass thing is going to be the Nintendo 64 version of it. They made some really nice quality of life changes to the 3DS version in terms of
Mhm.
controlling the way time flows. You have a little bit more control over time flows. They also fixed a bunch of the performance issues
Mhm.
that plagued the N64 version, and I don't know that those performance issues will be solved on Majora's Mask for the Switch. It's
Hmm.
it's unclear to me, but anyway, yeah. So if you want to play it on the Switch, then just spend $50 a year, and you can get access to all the N64 games that are on there. My problem that I have with with all of these is that wait. Oh no, never mind. It's not on there. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Okay. I don't know that it's on there actually. Um, anyway, Ocarina of Time is okay. Yeah, Majora's Mask is on there. Okay, yes, it is.
Okay. All
Anyway,
right.
um, I played all these games when they came out. In some instances, I
Mhm.
played them 3 and 4 times. Right,
Yeah.
and so having them on the Switch is fun, and I'll turn it on once or twice just for the novelty of it.
Yeah.
But I've played all these games so many times at this point. There's not really a lot
Just
to go back to, right?
yeah. Yeah.
I've squeezed all of the blood out of that rock, so to speak.
Yeah. I hear you.
But so it's not. It just I keep wanting to do it just so I can play Goldeneye on my Switch. I haven't played it in a long time. Um, but it's not worth the extra $30 a year, right?
Hmm.
So, but in any case, and they also you get the any game expansion packs you get for free, like Animal Crossing's Splatoon 2 and Mario Kart 8, I think, are the ones that
Hmm.
support it so far. But I already
Hmm.
bought those, so I bought those independently of all of that, and because I bought them, if I don't have internet, I can still use it, and if I decide to cancel
Yeah.
it, I can still use it, right?
And that's the thing that's kind of weird about Nintendo Switch Online is yeah, you get the expansion pack, yeah, you get the booster course, but I'm with you. I'd rather just buy them and just have them.
Right.
Because what if I want to cancel my subscription? I'm not. I'm too. Again, I'm a lazy gamer too, so I'm not. Because it is cheap. But if you go to expansion pack route, it's a little bit more, and then I might cancel it. After a certain amount of time.
Right. Right. And the only
Yeah.
thing that I can say that I can okay, well, if I ever got to a situation where I was going to go to a party and we wanted to do a Mario Party,
Mm.
it has Mario Party 2,
Yeah,
which
and, and
is
and the first one
in
too,
the
right?
first one, but 2 is
Yeah.
still to this day the best of the Mario parties, right?
Yeah, a lot of people say that. Yeah. Hmm.
So, but anyway, that's not really worth an extra $30 a year, even if I just do it for 1 year.
Yeah, that's more like just you just I don't know how easy it is to just subscribe to expansion pack for like a few like for 1 month and then just go back to normal,
You can
you know.
buy, yeah, you can do it. You don't have to buy it for an entire year. They have like
Oh,
tiers where you can buy it for a
yeah.
month or whatever. But it's more expensive, obviously. The
Hmm.
less time you buy it for, it's the price is higher. So, but anyway, so yeah, I mean, if you really just want to play it on your Switch, then you can for $50 a year you can get access to it. But I'm pretty sure you already have it on your 3DS.
Yes, I
So
do.
that would be
That's the
my
thing.
that would be my recommendation because the 3DS version is the far superior version of it.
So what does it make what makes the 3DS version the best version of it? Like is there something that it takes advantage of hardware wise because it's dual screen? Is that why?
Well, the dual
It's really
screen
optimized?
obviously, yeah, the dual screen is obviously really nice because you can have all your inventory just at the tap of a finger. That's really
Mm-hmm.
nice. Obviously they did a significant graphics improvement. They went back and it's
Yeah.
a 3DS, so it's not like the Metroid Prime remaster,
Mm,
which is a complete
mm,
overhaul. But
Mm-hmm.
Everything looks a little bit better. The textures are a little bit cleaner. I really dug the 3D on it. I know some people really hated the 3D aspect of the 3DS in general, but some games did it really effectively, and I thought Majora's Mask was one of those games.
Mm-hmm.
The again they improved the time control, so you could slow down time even more, or you can speed it up even more, right? So it gave you a little bit more wiggle room um, in terms of how you control the time and go through the days.
Mm-hmm.
And they also improved the Balmer book, which is how you track people's how you track the progress in their storylines.
Mm-hmm.
And so it made it even easier to interact with that and to know which storylines you had completed and what you still had left to go. It just all in all, it's a superior version of the game. It was a really, really high quality. It really listened to some of the fan feedback, the pain points from the original experience, and then obviously from a performance standpoint, it plays much better than the original on the N64. So, um, but yeah, so I think that's it. I think I ran out of Zelda esoterica for the evening. Honestly, I don't know. I mean,
Well,
I don't know if I can go any deeper than that. I mean, I literally bust out a Hyrule Historia so we could
I
properly
know.
break down the timelines and the
Oh gosh,
continuity.
that was fun though. I mean, yeah. I mean, the timing's good. I mean, I don't want to wear you out because we have more streams to do, more Zelda talk, in our future anyway.
It'll
So
never
we can't
end,
do it all.
frankly. I mean,
Yeah, I know. But yeah, we're at a good spot here. I'm surprised, but yeah, we got Warhog getting ready to do a
oh,
charge.
nice. I love that he kind of like lingers his leg back a little bit, right? It gives
Yeah,
it a little bit
yeah,
of a I don't know. It makes it more organic, right? So he's not just doing this repeated animation, which just
yeah,
looks like it's on a swivel. The fact that he's swinging it back and holding that position for a second and then whipping it back
hmm
around, it makes it a little bit more lifelike, for lack of a better
yeah.
word. So that's really cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of animations. Abstract life and try to make it feel alive. And we know about these warhogs. They are pretty. They can be pretty sinister in a way, but again, that's more.
Yes.
Yeah, they do have evil plans of sorts as they
Of
run
sorts,
around.
yeah. They're not masterminds. Let's put it that way.
No,
But
no,
they are
yeah,
there for a reason. They're not random.
no, no. But cool. But yeah, we're in a good spot here for
All right.
tonight,
Great.
and we'll call it good, and then we'll crack out. We'll pull out the Zelda Historia. Hyrule. What is it called?
Hyrule
Historia.
Historia is the first book. Art and
Historia.
Artifacts is the second book, and then just the Zelda Encyclopedia is the third one.
Okay. Either way, we have 3 books to dive into at some point in our
Oh my
future
God!
streams.
Yeah, we can. I just open them up and hold the pages. And let's see on this part.
Yeah.
Here they talk
Yeah.
about why Groose is blah 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 blah. And here's the inspiration for it for Gaopor, the owl in the later games. He's a human in the first one.
Oh
You get
man.
really...
Oh what? See, right there. That's something I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What?
So his soul is reincarnated into the form of an owl, and that owl is what is, if you've played a lot of Zelda games, that owl shows up from time to time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and assists you in your quests. Obviously, the most relevant being
Oh
Ocarina
gosh.
of Time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah. So he started
Crazy.
off as a
Yeah.
human, and he was the leader of Skyloft back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't make that connection at all. Jeez. Trippy.
Well, this is why you
All
have
right.
me. I'm the one who keeps
Yes.
all the knowledge. I don't remember.
Yes.
I don't remember my nephew's birthday, but I do remember that fact about Gaobor. I don't even remember the name right now. The gag is ruined because I can't remember the full name of the owl.
That's all good. It's all good. We all know who the owl is. Anybody who's played Zelda knows
Yeah,
who the owl
yeah.
is. So it's all good.
All right, so
All right.
we'll wrap it up here. Head on over to clamtoJane.rocks, all you viewers out there, and consider joining our Patreon and helping us make this cartoon a reality. And we can talk more about Zelda Esoterica for as long as you want, if we have the funds to do it, right? But yeah, clamtoJane.rocks will take you right to our Patreon site. You can also find us on Facebook, where we do posts about updates, whether there's going to be a stream or not. and general information and updates. You can also head over to Twitter at Jane Salamander. We do three tweet stories most weeks. This week is just a silly one. There's nothing really revelatory about this one. We're just making each other laugh this week, so take a look there. Otherwise, I think let's see. I think we'll be on for next week. I don't think I have anything going on next week. Yeah,
same.
13th is clear for me. So we'll be back at the same Calamity hour, same Calamity time next week. So we're gonna sign off here. Good night, everybody. Stay safe.